What's up, DBS fam? Figs here with Team FOE. Just got done with the CoreTCG event. Ended up placing 5th after the Swiss rounds. Ended up losing my very last game to Reboot Gohan. Fortunately, RNG wasn't on my side. I ended up drawing a non-blue card for turn and ended up hitting a non-blue card with my Xenoliter to go for game that turn with my SCR. But it was all good. It was a very good game. I had very good games all day. So I just wanted to go over the deck I played as well as the matchups. So let me just give you an idea of the matchups I played. Round 1, I played against Agent of Destruction. Very good matchup. I ended up just making sure that I survived as long as I could to finish out the game. Shin Shenron round 2, which I had a few tech cards in here just in case for Shin Shenron, Invoker, and a couple of different matchups. So you'll see that, and I'll explain what cards I use for which. I also played against Blue Zamasu. Obviously, almost like a mirror match, just different leader and a very similar, different engine. Also played against Invoker round 4, which was a good matchup as well. Played against Vegito round 5, very good, nice mirror. We ended up, I think, getting to like 7 or 8 energy each, and I think I resolved like maybe 5 Aboonies that game. Pretty crazy. And then of course my last round was the Reboot Gohan. So let's go ahead and get into the deck list, and I'll go over a few choice cards here. All right, so of course Vegito, if you don't know what he does, he is the starter deck leader. Attack, draw, and then of course if a blue unison or blue battle card leaves the board, or by a skill, then you get to awaken early by drawing 2 and flipping him over, or you can do the typical 4 life or less, draw 1 and tap 1. Backside, activate battle, pay 2, give a unison 10k and triple strike, not once per turn, very good. Draw on the swing, and then of course whenever one of your blue battle cards or unisons on your opponent's turn is removed from the field by a skill or KO'd, you untap 1, draw 1. So very love this leader in terms of blue. He does everything blue usually intends to do. So let's go over the list here. We'll start over here. I played 2 max power Kamehameha. I felt like it was very fitting for the best of 1 format because of decks like Shin Shenron, or anything that wants to put something tall early on. Blue doesn't have the best removal, so I wanted to make sure that I had something that would allow me to deal with something like Shin Shenron, so that way I can start setting up my board without being interrupted. And it worked out very well. I was able to stop a turn 2 9-drop, forcing them to have to make the play later, or set up for it later. So very good card. Played 2. It's also a negate, which is very important. Something similar from my build before is that the pseudo super combos, I took those out for these because I wanted to have negates rather than combo power that would draw. So this was much more fitting. So it's very good. If you don't know what it does, it's a negate, and if you have 4 cards in drop, you can warp 4 to pick it back up. I did it a few times. Or you can warp a battle card in your opponent's side of the field that has a greater energy cost than what they control as the activate main. Then of course I play the Vegito SCR. Everyone should know what it does by now, but if you don't, 5 energy, untap 2, draw 2. Your opponent warps 2 battle cards and warps 2 cards from hand. Very good. Solid SCR. I played 2 of the Secret Identity Mass Sand. I wanted to be able to have additional pressure as well as being able to deal with my opponent's board, because as I said, blue lacks control over the board. So we went ahead and we did play this as the Overrealm. It was very good. I wouldn't have replaced it. I think it was perfectly fine. Good against the mirror when you need it or when you see it. And then of course it's good for pressure. Also good against AOD for clearing out their board when needed. Then we've got the Zamasu Super Combo. Obviously you play this in conjunction with the Goku hit, but it rests a battle card or a leader card, and then of course you're able to make a play off of it. Very good defensively. Of course we want to see this against decks like Gohan and things like that. For Sensu Bean, I mean everyone knows what Bean does. I'd never play less. Always 4, great card. Mana control, mana on tap is just relevant. I went with 3 Jakol blockers. I wasn't going to go with 4 because blockers in this deck are very important. I mean, they act as a negate as well as a draw 1, untap 1. So they have a lot of value, especially the fact that it's a revenge blocker. It does do pretty well in that sense. But I wanted to make sure that I seen one early on because I play the deck slightly different. As I may have explained before in one of my previous profiles, playing the deck, I tend to sometimes I'll use the Jakol or the other blocker. I'll put them on the board, and then I'll wait until my unison until I block. That way my opponent doesn't get any damage on my unison, and it allows me to still be able to awaken just a turn later. But but I went with 3. This was fine. I mean, it gains revenge when your opponent reveals the top card of their deck and it's a battle card, so that's slightly relevant in certain matchups, but still a blocker nonetheless. I went with 2 Janemba. I took out the Gotenks. I like the Gotenks a lot. I actually did miss it for this event, but this came in handy in the later turns, because sometimes what ends up happening is you'll get to a late game where your opponent will end up dealing with your Zeno, and you want to be able to play something cheap that you can still pay 2 for this and then pay 2 for your leader on the backside in order to give it triple strike and 10k. So that was relevant in that sense. Otherwise, I would definitely continue to play Gotenks, because he allows you to still be able to draw 2 and deal with 2 battle cards, which is much more relevant than just being able to have that pressure to push. But if anyone doesn't know what he does, the +0 lets both players draw and the opponent mills. The +1 gives them crit, and then the -2 gives them triple strike and 15k if your opponent has like 15 or less cards in their deck. 4 draw apes. I mean, of course, this draw ape, it's very good. You use it in conjunction with the hit, so you can combo and bring it out. Also, it lets you draw against hand control matchups, as well as be able to come back and gain some more advantage once you've dropped most of your hand through negates and battle cards. So very good, very relevant. Very good card. Pay 2, draw 2 from the warp by warping it, and from the drop, and fill up your hand. We got 4 blockers here. This is the Dr. Rhoda one. Very good. When it blocks, if it's KO'd, you untap an additional energy. So essentially, this blocker becomes an untap 2, draw 1, which is very nice for opening up energy for the negates that you're playing in the deck, because I am playing quite a few negates. So he was super relevant. I loved seeing him early, loved seeing him late. It didn't matter when I see him. It was a very, very relevant card at all times, because he becomes an attack stop, then the negates, the energy opens up for me to have additional negates. 4 Abuni. Glad I didn't get hit on the ban list. Card's so good. Against my Vegito matchup, I think I played this card 5 times, and every time I made my opponent reveal the top card of his deck, it actually ended up being an Abuni, and he had to shuffle. So I don't even think he resolved an Abuni that game. But it's very good. I mean, Abuni gives you the tokens. It's a lot of pressure. It's the pressure for blue, because there's not a lot of pressure cards, as you can see. But it definitely does what it needs to do. You play it. It can't be KO'd if tokens are on the board. Has deflect. And then, of course, when you play it, you get 3 tokens, 15k power, 5k combo power. So very relevant. And then, of course, the reveal on the top of the deck allows you to be able to untap energy during your opponent's turn. So super relevant. I played 1 all too easy. This was, of course, for the Invoker matchup. I wanted to be able to have something for Invoker in the event that I wasn't able to win early. I can just sit on this and know that I was protected and then stay at high life, which is what I always do against Invoker. So they really have to push in order to win the game, knowing that I have this. And then, of course, I can always just get rid of their SCR with this. Not the following turn, but the turn after, since I can't play, well, yeah, because this is an extra card. I don't know what I'm talking about, but yeah. So you could always just use this the next turn and just get rid of their SCR and warp it, so they can't replay it again by comboing it away or anything like that. So this is very good. This keeps you alive against the SCR. And then, of course, staying high on life keeps you alive in that matchup. 4 Zeno. Very good. I mean, the best unison in the deck. It failed me in my last game because it made me charge a multicolor, which was really unfortunate, but it's still a good card nonetheless. I mean, you run a ramp, you want to get to your higher energy, you want to have access to it. So anyone who doesn't know, it costs 2. When you play it, you can get a +2 to choose a card off the top of your deck and ramp it into your energy. Of course, if it's multicolor, it comes in tapped. And then, of course, the -5 gets rid of the entire board and shovels it back into your opponent's deck, ignoring barrier, including the field card. So very good against Evoker as well. It allows you to be able to stop that turn 3 when they play their Vegeta. And then they have the field card. You can get rid of everything. And then it allows you to play around that. 4 D-Magic. Of course, D-Magic is D-Magic, the universal untap for blue. Very good. Awesome card. Love it. As long as D-Magic's in the game or in blue, then it'll always be a strong game. Trunks counterplay. Very good, of course. Once you keep markers up, you have 2 or more markers on your unison. You're able to counterplay anything that doesn't have deflect. Doesn't care what energy cost. Doesn't care about its power. Very strong card. And if you don't, you can also play it as a battle card. So if your opponent does play something that has deflect, then you can always just play it just to play a body on the board, which is really nice. 4 Goku Hit. Card's amazing. It's another pressure card. It's also another defensive card. So you've got a ton of blockers. You've got options for aggro. This card's too good. I think it's super undervalued. because of the fact that it's able to swing twice per turn and block twice per turn depending on the situation. You swing twice, and then during your opponent's turn you can restand it after they swing, activate battle, and then still get one block off. Or you can swing with it once and then block twice during your opponent's turn. So very ideal, and it costs 1 blue, which is awesome. Doesn't mean that means you don't have to charge yellow in this deck. You're always constantly charging blue. So this card was ideal and very perfect for what it needs to do. I went with 4 trunks. I normally play 3, but I went with 4 because I wanted to see more negates. If I played against VJX, I want to see this early. It allows me to stop the pressure and allows me to get to later turns. There's not very many other decks this really affects, I've noticed. Invoker is the main one. Next set, this will affect a lot more decks, so it'll actually get a lot better. Especially like the black Brawly and the red Brawly and things like that. So this card will get a lot better in the next set, especially for blue. But if anyone doesn't know, if you have blue Unison on board, it reduces its cost by 2, so it becomes a 1 cost negate. Then its auto allows you to be able to, when it's played, allows you to stop your opponent from attacking with battle cards that have a higher energy cost than their current energy by making them take 2 cards in their hand when they swing with them and put them at the bottom of their deck. So very relevant. It's not like Topo. You don't fill up your drop. You don't get additional cards. It's a negate, come into play, stop your opponent's bigger cards. So very, very strong at 4. I decided to go at 4 because it was a good negate, but otherwise this is what I played. I had a very fun time at the tournament. It was a webcam tournament, so I figured I'd share my deck in person rather than online, of course. But ideally, everything fit pretty well. The deck gets kind of difficult when you're playing a lot of different colors because Zeno can whiff. And I guess that was the only thing that really caught me off guard today. Was my general rule of thumb is when I play the deck, I always swing before I use Zeno effect. And today, there was actually quite a few times where I actually swung, drew into a blue card, used Zeno effect, and hit a multicolor. So I figured I'd do that on the Reboot Gohan matchup. I went for the Unison first, so I didn't hit the multicolor. I actually hit the multicolor and then drew the blue off the leader. So there's nothing you can do about it sometimes. Sometimes it's like that, and sometimes it'll hurt you or it'll help you. It all depends on the situation, but regardless, I wouldn't play it any differently. Deck's very good. I love blue. This leader is definitely one of the best cards for playing a blue deck. So it'll always be relevant, especially since it's got the Unison effect on the back. But otherwise, this is what I played. Hope you guys enjoy it. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to comment on the video. Otherwise, like and subscribe to Team FOE. And thank you for checking out my deck profile, and enjoy.